Well, hello, everybody, and happy Friday. Oh, I can see that microphone is really spicy now. We're still working with the audio systems. Maybe I just won't yell. So good to see everybody out there, everybody. Sorry, I'm running, sweating. I was still tracing. I had one or two more pieces to trace. I'm prototyping a pattern today, folks, and I'm super excited. I'll tell you about it in a minute, but let me set that down. You know, I'm tracing and looking at the watch, tracing and looking at the watch, making sure that I didn't keep you all missing. Oh, look at this. We're having a bad hair day today, too. Wonderful. Fantastic. Well, welcome, everybody. My name is Rob Appell, and I am blessed to work at Stitchin Heaven, part of the family, part of the team out there in Quitman, Texas. I make quilts mostly here in California, where I live with my wife and kids. Well, daughter's off at college in Portland now. My son is a junior locally at college here at the university, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. We're doing a live video today. If it's your first time, welcome, folks. We do both recorded tutorials where we talk about great things that are maybe learning how to sew or what to sew, or maybe I should say quilt, because that's really what we focus on here at Sew Well, with sewing and wellness, both sides of that fun conversation. Although I am not a wellness expert, I am certainly a recovering alcoholic who has learned that using my hands makes me feel great almost all of the time. And so working with these things, creating stuff, processing from my mind all the way through to finished stuff is great. And then getting to share it with all of you out there. If you are not subscribed, please do so. We have over 46,000 subscribers right here at Stitchin Heaven on YouTube, and I'm very blessed to have you out there. We also have a little Facebook group. It's a private group, but you just ask to be accepted and I'll let you in. Look for Sew Well Rob Appell Facebook, and I'd love to have you part of that community. On today's live show, I've got a bunch of fun things I want to talk about. So first, I've got little announcements and things, a couple things programmed in. If you didn't see, we finished the rug. The rug's here on the table. That's me trying to lay on it and take a picture. My son's taking a picture. That was kind of funny. And at any rate, so that tutorial came out. Here's the little advertisement for it. Well, welcome back, everybody. It is so great to see everybody on the other side of the camera for a fantastic tutorial today. And yes, folks, I did. Most of you have been following along. I've been working on this giant fabric or corded fabric wrapped rug for about 6 weeks now, and I've had a blast. But before we get started with today's tutorial, please allow me to apologize. I did film a lot of the early work, the setup, the starting, and all of the cording and everything, but something happened to that footage. I've already checked. I do not have it, so I'm gonna be just using a very easy sample roll today to explain how I've built this rug for all of you. And really, it is so simple. There's just a couple of super easy steps, folks. But I wanted to finish the rug today. We have just a few inches of cord to still stitch around the outside of this, but I do need to teach you all how to start before I can teach you how to finish such a project. And there it is from the top view, folks, the wonderful rug. And sorry, I guess the microphone is still running pretty loud, but I want to stay focused on today's video. And I see many of you are logging in, letting me know where you're coming from. Thank you for being here. To all of the regulars and the newbies, I love it when you put in the comments where you're from, what you like to work on. And today, a couple things. I got a couple requests last week to do some more live sewing demonstrations. So we're going to get to a little bit of free form curved piecing, Ricky Tim's caveman method, which brings us to next week's video a little bit. And we'll also do some question and answers. That's one of the things I want to do with these live videos, is I want to be able to take the time to answer some of the questions that come in throughout the week live on Fridays, because I know many of you are return following followers, something like that. And so anyways, we're going to have a lot of fun. So I've got a couple things I want to discuss about the rug while we move on. But let's just dive into our announcements before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Like I said, next week's video will be curved piecing. And so we'll do a live demo on that. But I've got a full tutorial, more in depth, edited and all that, coming for you on Wednesday. Don't forget, we want you to sign up for our email at stitchinheaven.com, where we do a weekly flash special, a flash sale, and we have all kinds of good stuff, including this week we've got batiks from Island Batik there, and of course the wool mats are fantastic. We've got rotary blades. I did a rotary cutter video recently that talked about a lot of the different kinds of rotary cutters, the different things, the different ways to change blades and all that. I think that that's very helpful. There's also a little code in there, a little hint in there. And so you can always take advantage of whatever special is better if they're not the same special. I didn't check that closely, hint, hint, but you certainly can. Got some really exciting things happening. I picked up on this week. Look at this, folks. Stitchin Heaven is 27 years old. Gus does not even look a day over 26, if you ask me. Gus is our big longhorn steer that we let wander around the shop there, picking fabrics with folks. And so, yeah, we have a bunch of fun things coming up celebrating our 27 years. One is the Outdoor Quilt Show. So if you'll go to our events page on stitchinheaven.com, I've got it circled there. Check it out. There's an outdoor quilt show coming up. You can register. It's October 14th, and there's some really cool things coming up. There is a retreat that builds up to that week of the quilt show, and so you're welcome to come. It's kind of a free sew or a project finishing style retreat, and then you can be part of the quilt show weekend as well. I spoke to a gal on the phone this week that really wanted to participate, and I made her the offer. So if you're listening today, and I could get in so much trouble for this, but so we want the quilts to be somewhat local because we just can't afford to make the offer to ship everybody's quilts homes to them, and what we really are is the concern of all of that quilts we would then become responsible for. But if you want to bring your quilts or send your quilts and then pick them up at another time, we can leave your quilts in my office. It's a film studio, folks. I've got plenty of space. So if you'd like to have your quilts shown at our outdoor quilt show, the invitation is there. Please send your quilts in to be hung, and just put a note in the box, leave it in Rob's office, but you're responsible to pick it up. And if you don't pick it up within 1 year's time, folks, I'm keeping your quilts and I'm giving them out for Christmas the following year. So at any rate, maybe I just did myself a real solid getting all of my Christmas shopping done for 2 years from now. I don't know. At any rate, so that's going to be really fun. So make sure you participate in that one way or another. This week we're having a panel palooza. We're having all kinds of fun with buy 2 panels, get 1 free, and that's all different styles of fabric. And it's a great place if you haven't heard me talk about learning to free motion machine quilt, or if you're really new to quilting and you just want to do a little bit of basic border work or patchwork, or you've been playing with a few squares or something like that you're experimenting with, and you want to add those to some panels. They make for great gifts, great baby quilts. We know we have a lot of young folks out there getting into quilting, and that means you probably have friends that are also getting into what happens under quilts sometimes, and then babies come out. I'm just being silly, but it's true. It happens, right? And so at any rate, a lot of you young moms out there are probably excited, and dads too that like to sew. I hate to be so chauvinistic, but a lot of you young folks out there that like to sew would be encouraged to pick up some of those panels and do something fun. They make great gifts. So anyways, we've got Panel Palooza going on. That's incredible. So that's a really fun situation happening. I wanted to point out block of the month. So every month at the beginning of the month, we put up a new series of our different block of the months. I think Stitchin Heaven may have more block of the months than anybody else. I don't know. We have amazing ones. If you look close right now, we've got a coupon where you can register for just $1. And this one caught my eye, folks. Look at this. This is Nautical Dreams from Lakeview Quilting. It is paper piece, but it doesn't look nearly as complex as like a Judy Niemeyer Quiltworks pattern would. I am not a paper piecer, so don't ask me to speak to which one is technically easier or not, but that one keeps catching my eye. I pay attention to our Facebook, our Instagram, our emails. I get it all like all of you do out there. And that one's come across my social media several times this week. And I love that high contrast. And again, I think it's that negative space, because as a machine quilter, I look for quilts that have the negative space in there. So that space behind the circles where there's flying geese and out into those kind of stars, those turquoise stars, I think would be a great place to machine quilt. So that's pretty fun and exciting as well. I like to talk about that kind of stuff and just bring you kind of up to what's up to date out there. Let me check my notes and see. Okay. I'm seeing somebody harassing each other, which is always fun. So if Kevin is out there, let's see it. Where's that Super 60 sampler, Kevin? Carl wants to see it. And I like that. It looks like we have somebody that's a Jedi out there that appreciates the videos. Well, I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. That's awesome. I apologize, folks. I do not read nearly as fast as I speak. And so it is actually a challenge for me to monitor the comments on my little iPad and really engage and see who's saying what. But I always go back and look at them later as well. Carl, I did see you mentioning something, and I hate to be the person that brings the bad news. But But if you haven't heard, the retreat in January from myself has been canceled, folks. We didn't get enough registrations, and because we run such a tight ship there in Quitman, Texas, we had to make the decision just this week. So Carl, if you hadn't been notified, I'm so sorry, but at least I'm telling you in person, kind of. Yes, and you're right. The August retreat is definitely going, and I think that's possibly what happens. January is a tough time. You know, we're all coming out of the holidays anyways. I was basically offering a similar class than what we just have just recently done. So anyways, I'm working towards a really fun series of quilts, and so I guess it's kind of a good time to morph these. Let's go to our overhead camera, and I'll show you these real quick. Here's a few of the patterns I've been working on this week in my studio with my new fabric line, and I'm going to keep them back a little bit just for my own copyright benefits and all this. This stuff is copywritten already, but it's out there and it's not totally released. So this one here is a strip piece pattern with circles of applique all over it. And this one here is going to be a raw edge, obviously a bird of paradise. But this is cool, folks. Here's my fabric line right here. Again, not bringing you in too close. The fabrics will not be available for purchase until January of 2024. Fabric is called New Worlds from Tex. But I've been playing with it, playing with some of the solids and some of the other blenders like Shadow Blush from Tex. I've been working on some really fun tutorials using up some of the scraps. So we're going to talk about a bunch of fun things here, sewing related. I want to let you know what's going on there. But what I was starting to say is the August retreat is going to be a retreat that is based on building our patchwork backgrounds and bringing in our appliques. I will have several kits to choose from, but I'll also be teaching how I love to teach the most, which is my open format, my free form, where we'll be taking the projects that you all have dreamt up and putting them together. So please sign up now. The registration is open already for the August retreat, and make sure that way you get to take advantage of that. If you want a last minute opportunity for something super exciting, I do have my retreat that I've been doing for a couple of decades, it feels like, out here. I guess it's true. It's been over 20 years. Wow. But at any rate, yeah, it happens in Cambria, California. It is the week before Thanksgiving. It is on the website robappell.com, and I have a few seats for that left, and it's really, really fun. These quilts will also be there if they're not still at Quilt Market. So that's what I've been doing, folks. I've been hustling. This is really fun. Like I said, I was just tracing. This is like a prototype version. This is like my blueprint of what I make the applique shapes out of. So this is an applique shape if you're new to quilt making, and so this has been laid on a patchwork. So again, a quilt like this would be a perfect example of how I blend fun patchworks and appliques together. And that would be something we could do at that retreat in August. And so what I've been working on this week is taking my fabric line and thinking of as many different ways. Well, I've been thinking about it for weeks, but now that the fabric's here, I can put it all together, and different ways that I can share with you the ways that the fabric works together and plays together. And it has been really, really fun. So that's why I've got a couple of these demos coming up, a couple of these fun new patterns coming up. So I feel like I have been on a real creative high, which is exciting. I feel like sometimes the time is standing still. I've been super energetic. But when we talk about wellness and somebody that studies kind of their body habits and their body rhythms, is I also know that I'm starting to feel that, oh my gosh, I'm wearing out a little bit. And for me, with all the thrill and excitement, sometimes I get a little bit low. So my strategy when I'm feeling low, or I think there's going to be a low time coming, is I prepare myself by having some fun projects, some easy projects that I can build that are really no-brainers, that are going to take a bunch of time, like the rug did. And like I said, we're going to come back to this in a second and to answer those questions. Right now, this is foundation piecing, and this is a video in a couple of weeks. It's a how-to. And so we'll talk about this next week on the live video, but it's just done on a piece of fabric, a muslin background, using up my scraps. But I was following our pattern we have at Stitchin Heaven called Texas on a String. And so at any rate, it's just been really, really fun. And so what I'm trying to say in a couple different things is I'm focusing on my skill building when I know that that creative energy is running low, because I still need to work with my hands to keep my happiness generator generating as much happiness as possible, right? And so for those of you who maybe sometimes struggle with those cycles, even in your own sewing rooms, just have something prepared to work through that's your ongoing project, and something that you can break some of those roller coaster cycles with of your major creativity, especially if you're using your fabric and things like this as your therapy, like I love to do. We're coming to the rug. Let me check in. I see there's a bunch of new comments in here. I see something that sounds like fun there. Uh-oh, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Carl. I was the first one to tell you. It is a busy time of year, Katrina. You're right. Okay, so I do want to go ahead and I want to answer some of the questions I got in last week's video about the rug. So the first question we had was, how do I secure the ends while I'm sewing? So the ends of the fabric. So part of it was, it's a finished wrapped corded rug. Let me see if I can bring you in a little bit closer. Oh, I guess I don't have that other camera on. Well, my bad. Sorry, folks. Any rate, so it's a finished edge, no raw edges here on the rug. And so what I've done is I've wrapped my cord, and no matter how far I wrap it out, I'm using our wonderful little quilt clips here to secure where the roll of fabric is just hanging loosely. I also use it to secure every 4 or 5 or 6 wraps of cord as I go around. Oh, excuse me, let's bring that in a little bit better. As I go around, because then as I undo and replace, I can wrap more cord or wrap more fabric around the cord as I go. So I'm using the clips to secure actually everything as I go, including I'm using them to secure the rope while it's sitting on the ground, right? So that was one of the questions. And then there was another question about how I secure the ends when I'm bringing 2 pieces together. So part of the idea behind the rug project, folks, is I want to be able to use my binding scraps that are left over from all of the quilts I've been making. So everything's made from 2.5-inch strips, but they've been pressed with their right sides out, and I'm wrapping them so that the raw edge is being covered by the finished edge constantly. I'm using a 1/4-inch cotton cord, so it's really actually nice and soft. It feels wonderful to sit on and play on. That was one of our other questions I was going to get to, but I guess I just answered it. I've been doing my yoga on it in the morning. The dog loves it. I was also showing that I could continually add cord. So the rug has 600 foot of cord in it, and I was buying 100 foot at a time, so I would be joining these sections. So the other thing that was happening here, one of the questions is, why not zigzag when I was trying to join these? And I tried that on my first couple of unions, and it just wouldn't feed through the machine. The zigzag wasn't pulling all the bulk through, and so if you haven't seen the video already, I'm just going back and forth a couple times, flipping over, going back and forth a few times, and it's plenty secure here. And then as I go ahead and wrap over that, the fabric secures it no problem. One of the other questions was, could I wrap that section there with some of the painter's tape? Well, the fabric itself is going to keep it from unraveling, so I'm not at all concerned about that. I don't want that painter's tape in there for just the fear that it might feel stiff or get gooey or weird over time. Longevity-wise, I think we've got 100+ years in this rug, because I've seen these from folks that are 100 years old and they're in their homes, right? So partly is, and that was another one of the questions, is how durable is this? Well, folks, I've taken good quality cotton fabric and I've wrapped it. Now it's 2 layers, and as I'm wrapping it over itself, and I'm doing literally, I think somebody might have mentioned I wasn't doing it properly. Of course, that's always opinion, but I'm wrapping and I'm covering more than half, right, of the piece that I was just doing. And so that means that I've probably covered each piece twice. So there's as many as 6 layers of cotton fabric over every section of cord that's going to be walked on top of. So I don't think this fabric's breaking down anytime soon. I really feel confident in that. But because we have pets and I wanted to be able to put it on the ground and walk on it, I did go to the local hardware store and I found this product. It's a Scotchgard product, not that any of that matters because we don't have it available. I'm only recommending that I've used it, meaning that I'm not necessarily saying you should use it, but it does say rug and carpet protector on it. So with the word rug, this was a rug. I figured, hey, how could you lose? So I bought some of that. I put paper down on the floor, then I put the rug down on the floor, and I sprayed the rug with a couple of layers, flipped the rug over at the end of the day, did it all over again. So it has several layers of the protectant coating so that we feel like we can really use it. And now I will run the vacuum over it for cleaning periodically. And I think it is what it is. Charisma tried to pull a fast one and get me to make her an all pink one. Had she known this one could have been hers if I wasn't trying to sneak out there in a backpack. So don't tell her that. She was hinting on the comments, and we always love the comments, folks. We love having you out there and commenting along, and really means a lot. So I also want to do this real quick because, like I said, it's fun to have live sewing. Something might go wrong. I think it's why people watch NASCAR. So let's see if we can have a NASCAR moment right now. I want to show you all how I did the curve piecing that's coming up. We've got a really cool video. You've probably seen me do this before, but it's just a fun, easy sewing demonstration. So I'm just going to do it here for us real quick. I think I better fold my rug up and out of the way a little. I'm just going to roll this here like this. Hopefully not mess up my computer system too much so I don't lose all of you at home. Perfect. Okay. So now with this being said, here's an example of our curve piecing, all right? And a couple of the pointers, in case you don't pick them up from the video, is I want you to start by practicing with your scraps. And no matter how wide your scraps are, I don't really want them any longer than 22 inches. Because by the nature of your curve piece cutting, the ends of the fabric strips are going to start to veer open a little ways, and that is going to be greater the longer the strip. So by using 22-inch sections, it gives you pretty decent control. So let's go ahead and just curve piece a couple of these strips for us here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and go to the overhead and zoom out so you can see what's going on a little better. And one of the things I mentioned in the video is I like to take a line and then I overlap one fabric an inch over that line. And then I overlap the other fabric an inch over that line in the opposite direction. So there's a 2-inch overlap, and both fabrics are right sides up right now. Both fabrics right sides up. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, now the next trick happens way down here at the base. So what I really want to do is I want to line those up. Okay, I want you to be able, you all can see at home. Now I'm going to take my rotary cutter, and in that imaginary center line, I'm going to start by cutting straight for about 1/2 of an inch to an inch. Then I want to put my hands back here to keep my hands safe and secure and hold the fabric. And then I'm going to do a gradual curved cut. Now I have to readjust because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. Here you can see the cut coming apart. Oop. Not perfect. Following it back in there. Nice pressure, easy cut. So now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and pull these pieces out, and we're going to match up. And we're going to match up our easy ones because you're all watching me at home. That curve. Find that bottom piece where you started. Flip right sides together, and partly why we started with at least 1/2 of an inch is so now we have a real nice straight startup, because it's going to get wonky from here. Get to your 1/4 inch presser foot, and you notice I don't have an edge guide because some of my fabrics are going to have to go back and forth over the stitch plates. I'm going to engage needle down real quick, and now as I start to sew, I'm just going to sew with my eyes watching both fabrics there at the 1/4 inch mark. Now I'm going to start to pull that purple fabric back basically making it so the machine and my eyes believe I'm making straight seams, and I'm just kind of weaving the fabrics gently, watching my 1/4 inch mark. The steeper the curve, the more aggressive you're going to have to be. You notice my pace is probably slow to medium at the machine. And we're just going to work this through real nice and easy. So if you want to practice this for the next couple of days until the real video comes out, might be fun for us all. That was a thread cutter there. Sorry about that being kind of loud. Okay, so now I've got that. Let me go ahead and show you how we press it, and we are done. Real nice and easy. Oh, here's another trick, folks. I normally wouldn't put my wool pressing mat. Well, I'm done cutting, so I'm not going to put my wool pressing mat on top of my cutting mat, because the heat, that's the benefit of the wool, is it holds that heat and holds that steam, but that's not always a benefit to your cutting mat itself. At the moment, I'm just being a generic or a habitual quilter. I flipped my dark fabric to the top. And now I'm going to use, though, the tip of my iron and get in here, and I'm going to press with the tip. Let's see, maybe you can see a little bit better. I'm using the tip here to kind of set the seam at the curve, set the threads at the curve, and then I'm going to press with my iron over, getting that real nice, curved, fun, organic seam. And I use this a lot in projects where I'm going to then load them up with applique on top of when I'm done. So like this project I was showing you right here would be very beneficial to have some of those really cool curved seams in the background, but because you're doing so much applique on top, you probably don't want to cover it completely. So I can also do some straight seams. We can put in other pieces. Yeah, it's really fun that way. So lots of different things we can do by learning this technique, and it's wonderful for curve piecing. It's wonderful for modern piecing or free piecing, where you're just kind of organically building. Some folks call that crumb piecing, and also other folks like to do a similar method but on the foundation. And so if you stick with me, folks, I'm really doing my best to help all of us gather great foundations in our quilting, not just foundation like in piecing, but foundation like our framework, right? Because a great house is built on stone, and it's built with great cornerstones and pillars, right? We plan in advance. So if I can help you all learn some of these great quilting strategies on our recorded videos, our tutorials, and we can have fun together on Fridays, I think this is exactly why you all are here for this sewing community. And of course, I feel so blessed to get to do this as a professional. I can't thank you all enough for supporting the channel and me personally. Things like the fabric lines. Oh, I forgot to mention, we have t-shirts coming up. So for the New Year's Day quilt along, we have a mystery quilt along coming up on New Year's Day. You can sign up under the events, and when you sign up, you can pick which of the 2 kits you want. So if you're a precision patchworker, you can go with Team Tiffany. If you're a bit more of a carefree quilter, you can go for Team Rob Appell. But either way, when you sign up for that New Year's Day mystery sew along, you can get a shirt. And if I understand correctly, you can just get a shirt anyways. I'm not 100% sure on that. I've got to get mine on order because I think they're going to be fantastic that way. So I'm really, really pumped to, like I said, be able to create for all of us, myself included, because it feels so good, and to be so welcomed and so blessed in this awesome creative world. So let's do a quick comments check. Hi, Tom from San Diego. Becky's in here from Houston, and Karen. Oh, I was just saw the word waves in my brain. I was thinking surfing again. Boy, don't tell my boss, but the surf has been incredible out here on the central coast of California the last few days. So I've been getting up early and going out there. And again, I think that all plays into part of that energy cycle that goes great. Yeah, hijack me. I'll go to Florida. Sounds great, folks. Oh, I'm so glad you're here and these videos are helping. This is great. Awesome. Love to know what you're all going to be working on this weekend yourselves. I get to teach at a local quilt guild, which will be real fun on Sunday. Big thing Saturday night is my two... do I call them kids? Help me. What do I call my children? They're 18 and 20 years old now. They're both at universities, but their universities are playing each other in ladies soccer tomorrow night. So I'm going to try to figure out, I think we can watch it on ESPN or something like that at a friend's house. And so I'm really excited. How cool is that the two different schools get to play against each other? And then we have a friend who's on Cal Poly's ladies soccer team as a freshman. She's getting a ton of playing time. I went and watched her last Sunday. And so she's going up and my daughter's up there. And look, I'm getting goosebumps, folks. And I guess that's what life is all about. When we're not busy in our sewing rooms, we should be doing other fantastic stuff, right? So anyways, let me know what you're up to this week. And if you're watching the video recorded, I'm glad that you are here. Stay tuned for that fantastic video coming up on Wednesday on the curved piecing. And do let me know what else you'd like to see design-wise coming up. I appreciate the comments and the compliments and all of that. And I see that we are just about out of time here, folks. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up and wish all of you a fantastic week. And I will see you all virtually on Wednesday and again live next Friday. We'll demo out how to do these super fun squares. And like I said, that's called Texas on a String. If you want to get a little ahead of schedule and maybe get your patterns on order or check out the kits, don't forget some of the YouTube videos right now, different opinions, and the Gumballs quilt projects. We still have kits to give away for those. Check out those videos to find out how to win. And again, I just appreciate the support and all the camaraderie right here in our wonderful sewing community. Folks, I love each and every